You're walking down a dirt path in the year 1150. The sun is warm on your shoulders. The sky above you is a clear and endless blue. You're in England. You're in a small village called Woolpit. The air smells like dry grass and wood smoke. You can hear birds calling to each other in the distance. You can hear the sound of your own footsteps on the packed earth. The world around you is slow and quiet and simple. This is a time before cities grew tall and crowded. This is a time before machines and noise and electric lights. This is a time when most people never travelled more than a few miles from the place they were born. This is a time when the world was full of forests and fields and small villages tucked into the hills. This is a time when people lived close to the land. They planted seeds in spring. They harvested grain in summer. They stored food for winter. They told stories by the fire at night. You are a traveller. You have been walking for days. You have come from the north. You are heading south. You do not know exactly where you are going. You're simply moving through the world. You're simply watching and listening. You carry a small sack over your shoulder. Inside the sack is a loaf of bread and a piece of cheese and a wooden cup. You have enough for today. You will find more tomorrow. The path you walk on is narrow and winding. It curves between fields of wheat and barley. The crops are tall and golden. They sway gently in the breeze. The sound they make is soft and rhythmic. It is like the sound of water moving over stones. It is like the sound of breathing. You walk slowly. There is no reason to hurry. Time moves differently here. Time is measured by the sun and the seasons and the ringing of church bells in the distance. You pass a farmer in his field. He is bent over his work. He does not look up. You pass a woman carrying a basket of apples. She nods at you but does not speak. You pass a dog sleeping in the shade of a tree. The dog opens one eye and then closes it again. Everyone here is busy with their own small tasks. Everyone here is living their own quiet life. The heat of the day is gentle. It is not oppressive. It is the kind of warmth that makes you feel drowsy and peaceful. The kind of warmth that makes you want to lie down in the grass and watch clouds drift across the sky. The kind of warmth that makes time seem to stop. You can feel sweat on your forehead. You can feel the weight of your pack on your shoulder. But these sensations are not uncomfortable. They are just part of being alive, part of being in a body, part of moving through the world. You come to the edge of the village. The houses here are small and made of wood and mud and thatch. They're clustered together like mushrooms after rain. Smoke rises from the roofs. You can smell bread baking. You can smell meat cooking. You can hear the sound of a hammer on metal. You can hear the sound of children laughing somewhere out of sight. This is a place where people have lived for many generations. This is a place where stories are passed down from parent to child. This is a place where the old ways are still remembered. The village is called Woolpit. The name comes from the pits at the edge of the forest. The pits that were dug long ago to trap wolves. The wolves are mostly gone now, but the pits remain. And the name remains, Woolpit. A simple name for a simple place. A place where nothing much happens. A place where life moves at the pace of the seasons. A place where everyone knows everyone. A place where strangers are rare. You walk through the narrow streets. The ground is uneven. There are puddles of muddy water in the low places. There are chickens scratching in the dirt. There are geese waddling between the houses. The geese honk at you as you pass. They are territorial. They are protective of their space. But they do not attack. They simply make noise. They simply let you know that this is their village. You are just passing through. You pass the church. It is the largest building in the village. It is made of stone. The stone is grey and weathered. The door is open. Inside you can see the flicker of candles. You can hear the low murmur of prayer. Someone is in there. Someone is talking to God. Someone is asking for help or giving thanks or seeking forgiveness. The church is always open. It is a refuge, a sanctuary, a place of peace in a hard world. You do not go inside. You are not from here. You are not part of this community. You would feel like an intruder. So you keep walking. You keep moving through the village. You keep observing. You keep listening. You keep breathing in the smell of smoke and bread and animals and earth. You keep feeling the sun on your skin. You keep hearing the sounds of life happening all around you. At the far end of the village there is a field. Beyond the field there is a forest. The forest is dark and thick and old. The trees grow close together. Their branches tangle overhead. The villagers do not go into the forest often. They say strange things happen there. They say the forest is full of wolves and wild boar and things that have no name. They say the forest is a place where the boundary between this world and other worlds grows thin. You have heard stories like this before. Every village has its forbidden places. Every community has its mysteries. The forest, the marsh, the old ruins, the abandoned house, places where people do not go, places where strange things happen, places where the normal rules do not apply. You are not sure if you believe these stories, but you respect them. You understand that they serve a purpose. They keep people safe. They mark boundaries. They preserve mysteries. You walk toward the forest. You're not afraid. You are curious. You want to see what lies beyond the edge of the village. You want to see what the villagers are afraid of. You reach the edge of the field. The wheat ends abruptly. Beyond it, there is wild grass, and then the dark line of trees. You can hear the wind moving through the branches. You can hear the call of a crow. You stand still and listen. The sound of the village fades behind you. The sound of hammering and voices and animals grows distant. Here at the edge there is a different kind of quiet. Not the quiet of absence, but the quiet of waiting. The quiet of something about to happen. The quiet of a held breath. You feel it in your body. A tingling, an awareness, a sense that you are standing at a threshold. And then you hear something else. It is a sound that does not belong here. It is a sound that makes you stop and turn your head. It is the sound of crying. It is the sound of a child crying. But it is not coming from the village behind you. It is coming from the edge of the forest ahead. You walk forward slowly. You step into the tall grass. The grass reaches up to your knees. It is dry and golden, and it makes a whispering sound as you move through it. The crying grows louder. It is not the crying of one child. It is the crying of two. They sound frightened. They sound lost. You walk faster now. You push through the grass and you come to a place where the ground dips down. Here at the edge of the forest there are pits. The villagers call them wolf pits. They are deep holes dug into the earth. They are traps. They are meant to catch wolves and other animals that come out of the forest. The pits are covered with branches and leaves so that animals will step on them and fall through. The pits are old. Some of them have not been used in years. Some of them are half filled with dirt and dead leaves. The crying is coming from one of these pits. You walk to the edge and look down, and what you see makes you freeze. What you see makes your breath catch in your throat. What you see is impossible. There are two children at the bottom of the pit, a boy and a girl. They are huddled together in the dirt. They are crying and clinging to each other. But that is not the strange part. The strange part is their skin. Their skin is green. Not pale green like someone who is sick, not greenish in the shadows, but truly green, bright green, the colour of new leaves in spring, the colour of fresh grass after rain, the colour of moss growing on the north side of a tree. You stare at them. You cannot look away. The boy is younger, perhaps 6 or 7 years old. The girl is older, perhaps 10 or 11. They are both wearing clothes you have never seen before. The fabric is strange. It is smooth and tightly woven. It is a colour somewhere between grey and brown and green. It does not look like wool. It does not look like linen. It looks like something else entirely. The texture of the fabric catches the light in an unusual way. It seems to shimmer slightly. It seems to have depth, as if the colour changes depending on the angle you view it from. The children's clothes are simple in design, tunics that reach to their knees, no buttons, no laces, just simple garments that seem to be woven in one piece. You have never seen anything like it. You have travelled through many villages. You have seen many different styles of clothing, but nothing like this. The children look up at you. Their eyes are wide and frightened. Their faces are streaked with dirt and tears, but their skin beneath the dirt is still that impossible green. The sunlight falls into the pit and touches them, and their skin seems to glow. It seems to shimmer. It seems almost luminous, as if there is light coming from within them, as if their bodies are made of something other than flesh and bone. You open your mouth to speak, but no words come out. What words could you possibly say? What could you tell these children? You do not understand what you're seeing. Your mind is trying to make sense of it, trying to find an explanation. But there is no explanation. There is only the impossible fact of 2 green children at the bottom of a wolf pit. The boy starts crying harder. He buries his face in his sister's shoulder. His small body shakes with sobs. The girl stares up at you. She says something. The words tumble out fast and desperate, but you do not understand them. The language is not English, it is not French, it is not Latin, it is not any language you have ever heard. The sounds are strange, they are flowing, they are musical, there are rising tones and falling tones. There are sounds that seem to come from the back of the throat. There are sounds that seem to come from the lips. There are rhythms and patterns that are completely foreign. It is like listening to water flowing over rocks. It is like listening to wind moving through hollow reeds. It is beautiful and eerie and completely incomprehensible. The girl speaks again, more urgently this time. She's pointing at her brother. She's pointing at the walls of the pit. She's gesturing upward. She wants out. She wants help. She wants to escape. But she does not know how to communicate this to you, and you do not know how to tell her that you will help, that you understand, that you will not hurt them. You kneel down at the edge of the pit. You hold out your hand. You try to show them that you will help. You try to show them that you mean no harm. You make your face as gentle as possible. You make your movements slow and non-threatening. But the children shrink back. They press themselves against the far wall of the pit. They're terrified. They do not know where they are. They do not know who you are. They do not know what will happen to them. The pit is deep, perhaps 10 feet, perhaps more. The walls are steep and made of packed earth. There is no way for the children to climb out on their own. They are trapped. How long have they been down there? Hours? Days? They look exhausted. They look hungry. They look like they have been crying for a very long time. You stand up. You look around. You need help. You cannot pull 2 children out of a pit by yourself. You turn and run back toward the village. Your feet pound on the hard earth. Your breath comes fast. The pack bounces on your shoulder. You're no longer moving slowly. You're no longer watching and listening. You're running. Running to get help. Running to save 2 impossible children. You reach the first house and you pound on the door. Your fist makes a loud sound against the wood. Thump, thump, thump. A dog barks inside. You hear footsteps. The door opens. A man appears. He is old and bent and his face is weathered like wood left out in the rain. His beard is grey. His eyes are cloudy. He looks at you with suspicion. Strangers are not common here. Strangers pounding on doors are even less common. You try to explain. You point back toward the forest. You say there are children. You say they need help. You say they are in the wolf pit. The old man stares at you for a moment. He's trying to decide if you're telling the truth, if you are trustworthy, if this is some kind of trick. But there is urgency in your voice. There is fear in your eyes, and he can see that you're not lying. He nods. He calls to someone inside the house. A younger man appears, perhaps his son, perhaps his grandson. The younger man is tall and strong. He has broad shoulders and muscular arms. He's the kind of man who works with his body, who ploughs fields and chops wood and builds things. He looks at you, the old man explains. There are children in the wolf pit. They need help. The younger man nods. He grabs a rope from inside the house, and then they follow you. You run back through the village. More people see you. They see the urgency in your movements. They see the old man and the young man following you with rope. They know something is happening, something unusual, something important. They follow. By the time you reach the edge of the forest, there are a dozen people behind you, farmers and wives and a blacksmith still holding his hammer, a woman with flour on her apron, a boy who should be tending sheep, an old woman leaning on a stick. They all follow. They all want to see. They all want to help. This is what villagers do. When something happens, everyone responds. Everyone comes together. There is no question of whether to help. There is only the question of how. You lead them to the pit. You point down, they gather at the edge and look, and then there is silence. Complete silence. No one speaks. No one moves. They are all staring at the 2 green children huddled at the bottom of the pit. The children stare back. The girl wraps her arms around her brother. She says something in that strange flowing language. Her voice is high and desperate. One of the villagers crosses himself. He whispers a prayer. Another steps back. A woman gasps and covers her mouth. The blacksmith sets down his hammer slowly. His hands are shaking. Everyone is afraid. Everyone is confused. No one has ever seen anything like this. No one has ever heard of anything like this. The silence stretches. It becomes uncomfortable. It becomes heavy. Everyone is waiting for someone else to do something, to say something, to explain what they are seeing. But no one can explain it. No one knows what to say. They are looking at two children with green skin, bright green skin, impossible green skin, and they do not understand. But fear does not last long. These are practical people. These are people who solve problems. These are people who take care of their own. And these children, green or not, are still children. They are still frightened and lost and in need of help. The blacksmith kneels down. He is a big man with a kind face. He has children of his own. He knows what fear looks like in a child's eyes, and he sees it in these children. He lowers a rope into the pit. He ties a loop at the end. He speaks softly. He tells the children it is all right. He tells them to put the rope around themselves. He shows them with gestures. The girl understands. She is smart. She is watching carefully. She takes the rope. She wraps it around her brother's chest, under his arms. She makes sure it is secure. Then she nods up at the blacksmith. The men pull. The rope goes taut. The boy rises slowly from the bottom of the pit. He's crying. He is afraid. But he does not struggle. He rises up, and then hands reach down and grab him. They lift him out and set him on the grass. He is light. He's so thin you can see the shape of his ribs beneath his strange green skin. He immediately collapses. He curls into a ball. He sobs. Then they lower the rope again. The girl wraps it around herself. She rises up. She's heavier than her brother. She's older, but still she's light. Still she's thin. They pull her up and out. She stumbles when she reaches the top. The woman with flour on her apron catches her, holds her steady. The girl immediately runs to her brother. She kneels beside him. She wraps her arms around him. She speaks to him in their language, soft words, comforting words. The children stand at the edge of the pit. They are shaking. They are covered in dirt. They cling to each other and stare at the circle of faces around them. The villagers stare back. No one knows what to do. No one knows what to say. The moment stretches out. The wind moves through the grass. A bird calls in the forest. The sun continues its slow journey across the sky. The green of their skin is even more vivid in the full sunlight. It is not natural. It is not human. It is the green of plants, the green of living things that photosynthesize, the green of chlorophyll. But these are not plants. These are children, human children, or at least they appear to be human in every way except for the colour of their skin. Their hair is dark, almost black. It is straight and fine. The girl's hair is longer, it falls to her shoulders. The boy's hair is shorter, cut in a simple style. Their eyes are dark too, brown or black. It is hard to tell in this light. Their features are delicate. Small noses, small chins, high, cheekbones. They could be from anywhere. They could be from any family, except for the green skin. Finally, the woman who gasped steps forward. She's older, perhaps 50, perhaps 60. It is hard to tell age in this time. Hard work and poor nutrition make people look older than they are. But she has kind eyes. She has the look of someone who has raised children, someone who has nursed the sick, someone who has helped people. She holds out her hand to the girl. She speaks softly. She says it is all right. She says they are safe now. She says, "Come." The girl does not understand the words, but she understands the tone. She understands the gesture. She looks at the woman's face. She sees kindness there. She sees no threat. She takes her brother's hand and they follow the woman. The rest of the villagers follow behind. They walk back through the field. They walk back through the village. People come out of their houses to watch. They stand in doorways and stare. Word spreads quickly. 2 green children have been found in the wolf pits. 2 green children who speak in a language no one can understand. 2 green children who appeared from nowhere. Children run alongside the group. They point and whisper. Adults shake their heads in disbelief. The priest comes out of the church. He's a thin man with a long face. He sees the green children and makes the sign of the cross. He begins to pray. Everyone is unsettled. Everyone is disturbed. This is not natural. This is not normal. This is something that should not be possible. The woman takes the children to her house. It is small but clean. There is a fire burning in the hearth. There is a pot of soup hanging over the fire. The smell fills the room. It is the smell of vegetables and herbs and meat. It is a good smell, a comforting smell, the smell of home. The woman gestures for the children to sit. They sit close together on a wooden bench. They do not let go of each other's hands. Their eyes dart around the room. They are looking for danger. They are looking for a way out. But there is no danger here. There is only warmth and food and the quiet presence of people trying to help. The room is dim. There is one small window. The light that comes through is golden and thick with dust motes. The walls are made of wattle and daub, woven sticks covered with mud and straw. The floor is packed earth. The furniture is simple. A table, a few benches, a bed in the corner, some shelves with pots and bowls, a spinning wheel, some baskets. This is how most people live. Simple lives, simple possessions. The woman ladles soup into wooden bowls. She hands one to the girl and one to the boy. They stare at the bowls. They do not move. Steam rises from the soup. The smell must be overwhelming to them. They lean forward and sniff. The girl dips a finger in the liquid. She touches it to her lips. Her face twists. She spits. She says something sharp in her language. The boy will not even try it. He pushes the bowl away. The woman tries again. She brings bread. Fresh bread that she baked this morning. It is still warm. She breaks off a piece and offers it to the girl. The girl looks at it. She smells it. She shakes her head. The woman offers it to the boy. He turns his face away. The woman brings cheese, pale yellow cheese made from goat's milk. The children refuse. She brings apples, red apples from her tree in the garden. The children refuse. She brings pears. She brings cold meat. She brings milk. They refuse everything. They sit on the bench and shake their heads and speak to each other in their strange language. The woman is worried now. Children need to eat. Children cannot survive without food, but these children will not touch anything she offers. She sits down across from them. She watches them. She tries to understand. Hours pass. The children sit on the bench. They do not move. They hold hands. They whisper to each other. The woman brings more food. She tries everything she can think of: porridge, fish, eggs, nuts, berries, nothing. The children refuse everything. They look at the food with confusion, with suspicion, with revulsion. It is as if they do not recognize it as food, as if they have never seen anything like it before. As the afternoon fades into evening, more villagers come to the house. They bring food from their own homes. They want to help. They want to solve this problem. A man brings honey. A woman brings dried fruit. Someone brings smoked fish. Someone brings oat cakes. The pile of food on the table grows, but the children refuse it all. Night falls. The woman lights candles. She feeds the fire. The room grows warm and dim and cozy. But the children are not comfortable. They're exhausted, but they will not sleep. They sit on the bench with wide, frightened eyes. They watch everything. They jump at every sound. They do not trust this place. They do not trust these people. They are trapped in a nightmare and they do not know how to wake up. The woman tries to get them to lie down. She shows them the bed in the corner. She mimes sleeping. She pats the blankets. But the children will not move. They will not separate. They will not let down their guard. Finally, the woman brings blankets to them. She wraps the blankets around their shoulders. She speaks softly. She tells them to rest. She tells them they are safe. She tells them everything will be all right. But they do not understand her words. They only understand that she is trying to help, that she means no harm. Slowly the boy's eyes begin to close. He is too exhausted to stay awake any longer. His head drops forward. He leans against his sister. She wraps her arm around him. She keeps watch. She will not sleep. She cannot sleep. She must protect her brother. She must stay alert. The woman sits by the fire and watches them. She's troubled. She's confused. She has lived in Woolpit her entire life. She has never seen anything like this. She has heard stories about fairies and changelings and strange beings that live in the forest. But she always thought they were just stories, just tales to frighten children, just legends with no basis in reality. But now she's not so sure. These children are real. Their green skin is real. Their strange language is real. Their refusal to eat is real. And she does not know what to do about it. She does not know how to help them. She can only offer them shelter and warmth and kindness, and hope that somehow that will be enough. You are still there. You have not left. You're sitting in the corner of the room. You've been here all day, watching, listening, trying to understand. The woman has not asked you to leave. Perhaps she is glad for the company. Perhaps she wants a witness. Perhaps she needs someone else to confirm that this is really happening, that she is not imagining it. You watch the children, you study them, you look for clues, for answers, for explanations, but there are none. They are simply two children with green skin, two children who speak an unknown language, two children who will not eat, two children who appeared in a wolf pit with no explanation. The fire crackles, the candles flicker. Outside the world is dark and quiet. The village is asleep, but in this small house, 3 people are awake. The woman, you, and the girl with green skin who refuses to close her eyes. Days pass like this. The children stay in the woman's house. The villagers bring food. They try everything they can think of. Porridge and fish and eggs and milk. The children refuse it all. They grow thinner. Their green skin seems to lose some of its brightness. It becomes duller, more muted, as if the colour is fading, as if they are fading. They become weak. They sleep for long hours curled up together on a pile of blankets by the fire. But even in sleep they hold hands. Even in sleep they stay connected. They are all each other has in this strange place. They are the only ones who understand, the only ones who remember where they came from. The woman sits nearby and watches them. She prays quietly. She asks God for guidance. She asks God to help these children. She asks God to show her what to do. But God does not answer, or if he does, she cannot hear him. She can only sit and watch and hope. On the 3rd day, the boy becomes very weak. He will not wake up. He lies on the blankets and his breathing is shallow. His green skin has turned pale, almost grey. The woman is frightened. She sends for the priest. The priest comes. He kneels beside the boy. He says prayers. He anoints the boy with holy water, but the boy does not stir. The girl is frantic. She shakes her brother. She calls to him in their language. She weeps. She screams. The sound is terrible. It is the sound of pure desperation, the sound of someone losing everything. The villagers who have gathered outside the house can hear her. They cross themselves. They whisper prayers. They feel helpless. They do not know how to help. You visit the house each day. You sit in the corner and watch. You're still here in Woolpit. You have not continued your journey. You cannot leave. You're drawn to these children. You're drawn to the mystery of them. You watch the way they move. You watch the way they communicate with each other. The girl is clearly the leader. She makes the decisions. She speaks to her brother in a soft, continuous stream of words. He listens and nods and clings to her. They are all each other has in this strange place. On the 5th day, something changes. It is late afternoon. The light coming through the small window is golden and thick. The children are sitting by the fire. The woman has given up offering them food. She's simply keeping them warm and hoping for a miracle. And then the boy stands up. It is the first time he has moved in hours. He sways on his feet. He is weak. But something has caught his attention. He walks across the room slowly, carefully, as if each step requires great effort. He goes to a basket in the corner. The basket is full of beans, fresh green beans from the garden. The woman picked them this morning. She was planning to cook them for supper. The boy reaches into the basket. He pulls out a handful of beans. He stares at them. He holds them close to his face. He smells them. And then he begins to eat. He eats them raw. He crunches them between his teeth. He swallows. He takes another bean and another. He eats slowly, carefully, as if testing, as if making sure they are safe. The girl watches him. Her eyes widen. She stands and walks over. She takes a bean from his hand. She examines it closely. She turns it over in her fingers. She sniffs it. She looks at her brother. He nods. He takes another bean and eats it. And then she eats one too. The woman sees this and her face lights up. She jumps to her feet. She brings the basket to the children. They sit on the floor and eat the beans one by one. They eat slowly and carefully. They eat as if each bean is precious. They eat until the basket is empty. And then they look up at the woman. And for the first time since they arrived, there is something other than fear in their eyes. There is hope. From that day on, the children eat beans. Only beans. The woman plants more beans in her garden. The neighbours bring beans. The children eat them raw and cooked. They eat them morning and noon and night. They eat nothing else, but it is enough. Slowly their strength returns. Slowly the terrible thinness begins to fade. The boy starts to move around more, to explore the house, to look out the window. The girl stays close to him. She is always watching, always protecting, but she is less tense now, less frightened, but something else happens too. Slowly their green skin begins to change. It is gradual. It happens over weeks and months. The bright green fades to a paler green, then to a greenish yellow, then to a sallow beige, then to a colour that is almost normal, almost human. The boy's skin changes faster than the girl's. Within a few months he looks almost like any other child in the village. A little pale, perhaps. A little strange around the eyes, but not green. Not anymore. The villagers watch this transformation with a mixture of relief and unease. Relief because the children are starting to look normal. Unease because they do not understand why or how. The girl's skin takes longer to change. For many months she remains greenish. The colour fades from her face first, then from her hands, then from her arms, but her legs and torso retain the green tint for a long time. Sometimes in certain light she still looks distinctly green. But eventually she too begins to look like the other children. Her skin becomes the colour of cream, the colour of candle wax, the colour of someone who has been ill for a long time and is slowly recovering. And as their skin changes, they begin to learn the language. The woman teaches them. She points at things and says the words: table, chair, fire, bread, water, sun, moon. The children repeat the words. Their pronunciation is strange at first. Their mouths do not want to make the right shapes. The sounds of English are different from the sounds of their language. Their language is flowing and musical. English is harsher, more angular, more abrupt. But they are young and children learn quickly. The boy picks up the language faster. He is younger and his mind is more flexible. Within a year he can speak simple sentences. Hello, I am hungry. Where is my sister? Thank you. Within 2 years he sounds almost like a native. His accent is still there. A slight lilt, a slight difference in the way he forms certain sounds. But he is understandable. He is fluent. The girl struggles more. Her accent remains thick. Her sentences are often confused. She mixes up the word order. She forgets articles. She cannot make some of the sounds no matter how hard she tries. But she tries. She listens carefully. She practices. And slowly she too begins to communicate. And once she can communicate, the villagers begin to ask her questions. Where did you come from? How did you end up in the Woolpit? What happened to you? Why is your skin green? What language do you speak? Where are your parents? At first the girl does not answer. She looks away. She becomes quiet and distant. The questions upset her. They remind her of things she is trying to forget. Things that are too painful to remember. Things that make no sense even to her. But the questions continue. The villagers are gentle but persistent. They need to know. They need to understand. And finally one evening, as the girl sits by the fire in the woman's house, she begins to speak. She speaks slowly. She chooses her words carefully. She struggles to find the right way to explain something that has no explanation. You are there when it happens. You have become a fixture in this house. You have stayed in Woolpit. You have found work helping the blacksmith. You have rented a small room above the baker's shop. But most evenings you come here. You sit in the corner and watch the green children. Or they are not green anymore. They are just children now. But you still think of them as the green children. You cannot help it. The girl speaks. She says she does not know exactly where she came from. She says she remembers a land where the sun never shone. She says there was always twilight. Always that soft grey light between day and night. Always dim and cool and gentle. She says the sky was not blue. It was a kind of pale green, like the underside of a leaf, like shallow water over sand. She says she lived there with her brother and her family. She says everyone there had green skin. It was normal. It was natural. It was how people looked. She says they lived in houses made of something like stone, but not quite stone. Something smooth and cold and slightly translucent. Something that let light through, but not clearly. Something that glowed faintly in the darkness. She says they ate plants that grew in the twilight. Plants that needed no sun. Plants that glowed faintly in the darkness. Plants that tasted nothing like the food here. Plants that were soft and sweet and filled with water. Plants that grew everywhere. Plants that everyone ate. There was no cooking, no fire, just picking and eating. Life was simple there. Life was easy. Life was peaceful. She says one day she and her brother were playing. They were exploring. They found a cave or a tunnel or something like that. She is not sure of the word. She is not sure of the concept. She says they went inside. It was dark but not frightening. The darkness was comforting. The darkness was normal. They walked for a long time. They could hear water dripping. They could hear their own footsteps echoing. They could hear strange sounds in the distance, sounds like singing, or like wind, or like something they had no words for. And then suddenly there was light ahead. Bright, painful light. Light like they had never seen before. Light that hurt their eyes. Light that burned. They should have turned back. They should have run away. But they were curious. They were children. They wanted to see. So they walked toward the light. They walked, and the light grew brighter and brighter. And then they came out into the open air, and everything was wrong. The sky was too bright. It was blue, a colour they had never seen before. The sun was blinding. It was like staring into fire. It hurt their eyes. It hurt their skin. The air was too warm, too dry, too harsh. They were terrified. They cried out. They tried to go back into the tunnel, but they could not find it. The entrance was gone, or they were too confused, or they had turned around too many times. They did not know which direction they had come from. They wandered for a while. They called for their parents. They called for help, but no one came. There was no one. They were in a strange land with a bright sky and a burning sun, and nothing looked familiar. Nothing felt right. And then they heard noises. Strange, loud noises. Voices. But not like any voices they had ever heard. Harsh voices. Loud voices. Voices that frightened them. They ran. They ran blindly. They ran without looking. They ran until they could not run any more, and then the ground disappeared beneath them. They fell. They fell through branches and leaves. They fell into darkness. They fell into the pit, and they landed hard, and they cried, and they waited, and then you found them. The woman listens to this story. She nods slowly. She does not interrupt. She does not ask questions. She simply listens. When the girl finishes speaking, there is a long silence. The fire crackles. Outside, the wind moves through the trees. The night is dark and quiet. The woman finally speaks. She asks, "Where is this land?" The girl shakes her head. She does not know. The woman asks, "Can you find the tunnel again?" The girl shakes her head. She says she has looked. She says she has walked through the fields and forests around Woolpit many times. She says she has searched for anything familiar. But there is nothing. The tunnel is gone. The land of twilight is gone. She and her brother are trapped here. The villagers do not know what to make of this story. Some believe it. They have heard tales of other worlds, of fairylands, of places that exist alongside this world but cannot normally be reached. They think perhaps the children stumbled through a doorway between worlds, a thin place where the boundaries are weak, and now the doorway has closed and they cannot return. Some think the girl is confused, that she's remembering something wrong, that perhaps she and her brother got lost in a forest or a cave system and emerged far from home, that the green skin is some kind of disease or condition, that the strange language is simply a dialect no one in Woolpit happens to know, that there is a rational explanation if only they could find it. Some think the girl is making it up, that she's protecting some secret, that perhaps her family was involved in something criminal and she is hiding the truth, that the children are running from something, that the story of the Twilight Land is just a fantasy to cover up the real story. And some think the children are not human at all, that they are fairy children, or demon children, or something else entirely, something supernatural, something that should not exist in the human world. These people are frightened. They want the children to be sent away. They want them to be exorcised. They want them to be driven back to wherever they came from. The priest is called to examine the children. He is an old man with a long white beard and deep-set eyes. He comes to the woman's house and sits with the children. He asks them questions about God and Christ and the church. The girl tries to answer. She says she does not know these names. She says they had no church in her land. She says they had no priests. She says they had no God. Or if they did, she does not remember. The priest asks if they worship the devil. The girl says she does not know what a devil is. The priest asks if they have souls. The girl says she does not understand the question. The priest is troubled. He goes away and prays and consults his books. He reads about demons and fairies and strange creatures. He reads about changelings and illusions and tricks of Satan. He reads and prays and thinks for many days. Finally he returns. He says the children are not evil. He says they are innocent. He says they are victims of some strange event that no one can fully understand. He says they should be baptized and brought into the Christian faith. He says this will protect them. This will save their souls. This will make them truly human. And so it is decided. The boy is baptized first. He is given a new name, a Christian name. The villagers gather in the church. It is a grey stone building with a high ceiling and narrow windows. The light inside is dim and cool. There is a smell of incense and candle wax and old wood. The boy stands at the font. He is small and thin. He's wearing new clothes that the villagers made for him. A clean tunic, clean leggings. He looks like any other boy now. His skin is no longer green. His hair has been washed and combed. He looks normal. Almost. The priest pours water over his head. He speaks the holy words in Latin. The boy does not understand. He looks around nervously. He does not like the echoing space. He does not like the strange smells. He does not like the feeling of water running down his face. But his sister stands beside him and holds his hand and tells him it is all right. Tells him to be brave. Tells him this is just something they have to do. And so he stands still and lets the priest perform the ritual. The villagers clap and smile when it is done. They welcome the boy into the community. They are relieved. He has been made Christian. He has been made human. Whatever strangeness was in him has been washed away. Or at least that is what they tell themselves. That is what they want to believe. A few weeks later, the girl is baptized too. She's given a Christian name as well. She is older and understands a little more. She knows this is important to these people. She knows this will help her and her brother be accepted. She knows this is the price of safety, of belonging, of being allowed to stay. And so she kneels at the font. She bows her head. She lets the priest pour water over her. She lets him speak his words. She lets him make the sign of the cross on her forehead. And afterward the villagers clap and smile and welcome her into the community. She's one of them now, or close enough. She's baptized. She is Christian. She is safe. And that is what matters. That is all that matters. Time continues to pass. The seasons turn. Summer fades into autumn. The fields are harvested. The grain is stored. The air grows cool. The leaves change colour. They turn yellow, and orange and red. They fall from the trees. They cover the ground like a blanket. The children have never seen autumn before. In their land there were no seasons. There was only twilight, only the same dim, cool light forever. But here the world changes. Here time moves. Here life has cycles. Autumn fades into winter. The first snow falls. The children have never seen snow. They stand outside and stare at the white flakes falling from the sky. They hold out their hands and catch them. They watch them melt. They are amazed. They are delighted. The boy laughs. It is the first time you have heard him laugh. The sound is bright and clear. The sound is beautiful. But winter is hard. The cold is fierce. The wind howls around the houses. The snow piles high. Food becomes scarce. Everyone is hungry. Everyone is cold. Everyone is waiting for spring. The children struggle. They are not used to this cold. In their land it was always the same temperature. Always cool, but not cold. Always comfortable. Here the cold bites. The cold hurts. The cold makes their bones ache. The boy becomes ill. He catches a cough, then a fever. He lies on the blankets by the fire and shivers. His skin, which had become almost normal, takes on a greyish tinge. He will not eat, not even beans. He just lies there and breathes in short, gasping breaths. The woman makes him soup. She makes him tea with herbs. She wraps him in blankets. She sits with him day and night. The girl sits with him too. She holds his hand. She sings to him in their old language. Songs from the land of twilight. Songs that no one else understands, but nothing helps. The boy grows weaker. The fever will not break. The cough gets worse. He coughs until he cannot breathe. Until his face turns blue. Until he collapses back on the blankets exhausted. The woman sends for the priest. The priest comes. He administers last rites. He prays for the boy's soul. He tells the girl to be strong. He tells her that her brother will go to heaven, that God will take care of him, that she will see him again someday. The girl does not understand. She does not know what heaven is. She only knows that her brother is dying, that she's losing him, that soon she will be alone, completely alone. The only one left, the only one who remembers, the only one who knows about the land of twilight. And this thought is unbearable. This thought breaks her heart. One morning the boy does not wake up. The woman checks his breathing. There is none. She checks his heartbeat. There is none. He is gone. He has died in the night, quietly, peacefully. The woman weeps. The girl screams. The sound is inhuman. It is the sound of absolute despair. It echoes through the house. It echoes through the village. Everyone hears it. Everyone knows. The green boy is dead. They bury him in the churchyard. It is a cold, grey day. The ground is hard. It takes a long time to dig the grave. The villagers gather. They say prayers. They lower the small body into the earth. The girl stands at the edge of the grave. She's silent now. She has no more tears. She has no more screams. She's empty. She's hollow. She's lost. You stand beside her. You've been with these children since the beginning, since the day you found them in the Woolpit, and now one of them is gone. And you feel the loss too. You feel the sadness. You feel the weight of it. This small boy who came from another world and died in this one, who never got to go home, who never got to see his family again, who never got to return to the land of twilight. After the burial, the girl goes back to the woman's house. She sits by the fire. She does not move. She does not speak. She does not eat. Days pass. The woman tries to comfort her. She brings food. She brings drink. She speaks gently. She says the boy is in a better place. She says he is at peace. She says he is with God. But the girl does not respond. She just sits and stares at the fire. You visit every day. You sit with her. You do not try to talk to her. You simply sit. You are a presence. You are a reminder that she is not completely alone, that someone else was there, that someone else saw, that someone else remembers. And slowly, very slowly, the girl begins to come back. She begins to eat again. She begins to speak again. She begins to live again. But she is changed. She is quieter. She is more distant. There is a sadness in her eyes that never fully goes away. She is living, but she is also mourning. She is here, but part of her is somewhere else. Part of her is still in the land of twilight. Part of her is still with her brother. Part of her never truly adapts to this world. But she survives. Grief does not kill her. Grief becomes something she carries. Like a stone in her pocket. Like a weight on her shoulders. It is always there. But she learns to live with it. She learns to move forward. She learns to exist in this strange, bright world that she never asked to be part of. The seasons continue to turn. Winter fades into spring. The snow melts. The flowers bloom. The world comes alive again. The children, or child now, singular, watches this transformation. She watches the way the world renews itself, the way life returns, the way hope returns. And she thinks perhaps this is a kind of magic. Perhaps this is a kind of wonder. Perhaps this world, strange as it is, has its own beauty. She grows older. She grows stronger. Her skin loses the last traces of green. Her accent fades. Her understanding of the language improves. She becomes a young woman. She's quiet and strange, and there is a sadness in her eyes that never fully goes away. But she's also kind. She's also gentle. She's also wise in ways that others are not. She has seen things others have not. She has lost things others cannot imagine, and this gives her a certain depth, a certain perspective, a certain grace. She eventually marries, a man from a nearby village, a man who does not care about her strange past, a man who is kind and steady and asks few questions. His name is Henry. He is a farmer. He is a simple man with simple needs. He works hard. He is honest. He is reliable. He is not romantic. He is not exciting. But he is safe. And safety is what the girl needs most. They have a small farm, a few acres, a house, some animals. They grow vegetables, they keep chickens, they have a cow. They live a simple life, a quiet life, a life much like everyone else's. They have children, 3 of them, 2 girls and a boy. The children have normal skin. They speak only English. They know nothing of the land of twilight. They are simply children of medieval England. They grow up. They marry. They have children of their own, and the girl, who is now a woman, who is now a mother, who is now a grandmother, lives a long and mostly ordinary life. But people say she never loses a certain strangeness, a certain distance. as if part of her is always somewhere else, as if part of her is still in the land of twilight, as if she is living in two worlds at once. She never speaks about her past unless asked, and even when asked, she speaks of it briefly, matter-of-factly, as if it is something that happened to someone else, as if it is a story she heard rather than a life she lived. She says she came from a land of twilight. She says she and her brother got lost. She says they came through a tunnel and could never find their way back. She says her brother died. She says she stayed. She says that is all. But sometimes on quiet evenings she stands outside and looks at the sky, at the stars, at the moon, and you wonder what she is thinking, what she is remembering, what she is mourning. You wonder if she still dreams of the land of twilight, if she still hears the strange music of her native language, if she still sees the faces of her family, the people she left behind, the people she will never see again, and people never stop talking about her. The story of the Green Children spreads. It spreads from Woolpit to other villages. It spreads across Suffolk. It spreads across England. It becomes legend. It becomes folklore. Monks write it down in their chronicles. They call it the miracle of the Green Children. They call it a sign. They call it a mystery. They debate what it means. They debate where the children came from. They debate whether the story is even true. Scholars write about it. They propose theories. Some say the children came from underground, from a network of caves beneath England, from a place where people live in darkness, from a place where the lack of sunlight turned their skin green. This theory is popular. It is rational. It is scientific, or as scientific as anything can be in this time. Some say the children came from another country, perhaps from across the sea, perhaps from a land where people eat different foods and speak different languages and have different customs. Perhaps they were shipwrecked. Perhaps they wandered for weeks. Perhaps their story about the Twilight Land is just confusion, just the imagination of traumatized children, just a fairy tale they made up to explain what happened to them. Some say the children came from fairyland, from the realm of the Fae, from a place that exists alongside this world but cannot normally be reached. They say the children slipped through a crack in reality. They say they crossed a boundary that should not be crossed. They say they were never meant to be here, and they say this is why the boy died, because humans cannot survive in fairyland, and fairy children cannot survive in the human world. Some say the children came from another dimension entirely, from a parallel world, from a place where everything is slightly different, where the sky is green instead of blue, where the sun never fully rises, where people have green skin and eat glowing plants and speak in musical languages. They say there are infinite worlds, infinite possibilities, infinite realities, and sometimes those realities overlap. Sometimes a door opens, sometimes someone crosses over, and then the door closes, and they are trapped forever. You stay in Woolpit for the rest of your life. You never continue your journey south. You marry a local woman. Her name is Margaret. She's the baker's daughter. She's practical and kind, and she makes you laugh. You have children of your own. You work as a blacksmith's apprentice, and eventually you take over the smithy when the old blacksmith dies. You make horseshoes and nails and tools and pots. You live a good life, a simple life, a life much like everyone else's, but you never forget that day at the edge of the forest. You never forget looking down into the wolf pit and seeing two green children staring up at you. You never forget the impossible colour of their skin in the sunlight. You never forget the sound of their strange language. You never forget the look in the girl's eyes when she told her story about the land of twilight. You never forget the boy's death. You never forget the girl's grief. You never forget any of it. Over the years you think about that land often. You imagine what it must be like. A place where the sun never shines. A place of eternal twilight. A place where people live in dim, cool light and eat glowing plants and build houses out of something that is almost stone but not quite. You imagine the tunnel that brought the children here. Where did it go? Does it still exist somewhere? Could someone find it? Could someone walk through it and emerge in that strange twilight world? You walk through the fields sometimes. You walk through the forests. You look for caves and tunnels and strange openings in the earth. You never find anything, but you keep looking. Even when you're an old man with white hair and aching joints, you still walk out to the edge of the forest sometimes. You still look for the impossible. You still hope that maybe one day you will find a doorway to another world, but you never do. The tunnel, if it ever existed, is gone. The land of twilight remains out of reach. It exists only in the girl's memory, and then when she dies it exists only in the stories people tell. And then as generations pass and the stories are told and retold, they begin to change. Details are added, details are lost. The truth becomes mixed with imagination. The real becomes mixed with the fantastical. Some versions say there were 3 children. Some say 5. Some say they had wings. Some say they glowed in the dark. Some say they could speak to animals. Some say they could perform magic. Some say they were angels. Some say they were demons. Some say they were neither. Some say they were simply children, simply human, simply lost. But the core of the story remains. 2 green children appeared in the village of Woolpit. They spoke a language no one could understand. They ate only beans. Their skin slowly turned from green to normal. The boy died. The girl lived. She told a story about a land of twilight, and then she faded into ordinary life, and no one ever knew for certain where she came from, or how she came to be in that wolf pit on that summer day in the year 1150. You think about this on quiet evenings. You sit by your fire and you remember. The world seems so solid and fixed. The village and the fields and the forest and the sky. The rhythm of planting and harvesting. The cycle of birth and death. The slow march of seasons. It all seems so certain, so unchanging. But then you remember those 2 green children. You remember the impossible colour of their skin. And you realise that the world is not as solid as it seems. You realise that there are cracks in reality. There are thin places. There are doorways that open and close and cannot be found again. You realise that anything is possible. That the impossible happens. That the world is stranger and more wonderful than anyone can imagine. And this thought brings you comfort. This thought brings you peace. Because it means the world is bigger than you thought. It means there is more to existence than what you can see and touch. It means there are mysteries that will never be solved. And there is something beautiful about that. Something right. Something perfect. A world without mystery would be a dull world. A flat world. A world with no magic, no possibility, no hope. The story of the green children becomes a story you tell your own children. You tell it to them at bedtime. You sit on the edge of their bed and you speak softly. You tell them about the day you found 2 strange children in a wolf pit. You tell them about the colour of their skin, and the sound of their language, and the land of twilight they came from. Your children listen with wide eyes. They ask questions. Where is that land? Could we find it? Could we go there? You tell them you do not know. You tell them it is a mystery. You tell them some questions do not have answers, and that is all right. And your children accept this. They drift off to sleep thinking about green children and twilight lands and tunnels that lead to other worlds, and they dream. They dream of adventure. They dream of magic. They dream of possibilities. Your children grow up and they tell the story to their children, and those children tell it to their children, and the story continues, generation after generation, century after century. The green children of Woolpit become one of the great unsolved mysteries of medieval England, one of the great legends, one of the stories that refuses to die. Historians study it, they research it, they try to find evidence, they look through old documents, they search for mentions of the children in records and chronicles. They find a few, not many, but enough to confirm that something happened, that this is not just a made-up story, that 2 children really did appear in Woolpit, that they really did have green skin, that they really did speak an unknown language, that at least part of the story is true, but what part? How much? Where does truth end and legend begin? No one knows. No one can say. The line between fact and fiction has blurred. The line between history and myth has dissolved. And perhaps that is as it should be. Perhaps some stories are meant to be mysterious. Perhaps some stories are meant to remain unsolved. Perhaps the not knowing is the whole point. Folklorists analyse the story. They compare it to other stories from around the world. They find similarities. Stories of people who appear from nowhere. Stories of people with strange skin colours. Stories of people who speak unknown languages. Stories of people who come from other worlds or other dimensions or underground kingdoms. Stories that suggest that the boundary between worlds is not as solid as we think. Stories that suggest that crossings are possible. Rare but possible. They categorise the story. They call it a fairy tale, an urban legend, a folk narrative, a myth. They analyse its structure. They analyse its themes. They analyse its cultural significance. They write papers. They give lectures. They debate endlessly about what it all means, but they never arrive at a definitive answer, because there is no definitive answer. There is only the story, and the mystery, and the wonder. People write books about the Green Children, novels and histories and speculative essays. Some try to solve the mystery. They propose rational explanations. They suggest the children were Flemish refugees who got lost and suffered from malnutrition. They suggest the children were from a nearby village and their green skin was caused by anemia. They suggest the whole story was made up by monks who wanted to create a miracle to attract pilgrims and donations. Others embrace the mystery. They write fantasy novels about the children. They imagine elaborate backstories. They create entire worlds based on the land of twilight. They write about adventures and magic and the longing for home. They use the story as a starting point for their own creativity, for their own imagination, for their own exploration of what it means to be lost, to be different, to be far from home. The story appears in anthologies, in collections of unexplained mysteries, in books about strange phenomena, in documentaries about the paranormal. It is retold again and again in different ways, sometimes faithfully, sometimes with wild embellishments, sometimes as a cautionary tale, sometimes as a tale of wonder, sometimes as a tragedy, sometimes as an adventure. But always with that core image, two children with green skin, emerging from nowhere, speaking an unknown language, telling a story about a land of twilight, and the story continues to resonate, even hundreds of years later, even in modern times, even in an age of science and skepticism and rationalism. The story still captures people's imaginations, still makes them wonder, still makes them think about the possibility of other worlds, other realities, other ways of being, because the story touches something deep, something archetypal, something universal, the fear of being lost, the pain of exile, the longing for home, the grief of losing a sibling, the challenge of adapting to a new world, the experience of being different, of being the only one, of being misunderstood. These are experiences everyone can relate to. These are emotions everyone has felt, and so the story speaks to people across time, across cultures, across boundaries. You grow old, your hair turns white, your hands shake, your eyes grow dim, your back bends, your joints ache. You move slowly now, you tire easily, you spend more and more time sitting by the fire, you spend more and more time remembering. And the memory you return to most often is that day at the edge of the forest. The day you heard crying and walked through the tall grass and looked down into the Woolpit. The day your world became a little stranger, a little more mysterious, a little more beautiful. The day you realized that reality is not fixed, that anything is possible, that the impossible happens, that doors between worlds really do exist. That magic is real. You can still see them so clearly. The two green children huddled together in the dirt, the fear in their eyes, the impossible colour of their skin in the sunlight, the way the girl held her brother, the way they clung to each other, the way they tried to understand what was happening to them, the way they looked at you, with hope, with fear, with confusion, with desperation. You can still hear the sound of their strange language, that flowing musical sound like water over stones, like wind through reeds, like nothing you have ever heard before or since. You can still remember the feeling you had when you first saw them, that mixture of shock and disbelief and wonder, that feeling of standing at the edge of something huge, something important, something that would change you forever, and you wonder where they are now. The boy is dead. He has been dead for decades. His body is in the churchyard in Woolpit. His bones are in the earth. But where is he really? Is he in heaven as the priest promised? Is he back in the land of twilight somehow? Is he nowhere? Just gone? Just ended? You do not know. You cannot know. The girl lived a long life. She had children. She grew old just as you grew old. And then she died too. Her body is also in the earth. But where is she? Did she go to heaven? Did she return to the land of twilight and death? Did she find her family again? Did she find her brother again? Or is she also just gone? Just ended? Just nothing? You want to believe they are together again. The girl and the boy. The two green children. You want to believe they found their way home. You want to believe that death is another kind of doorway, another kind of tunnel. You want to believe that when you die you will walk through the darkness and emerge somewhere unexpected, somewhere wonderful, somewhere that makes sense of all the confusion and pain and mystery of life. Maybe you will emerge in the land of twilight. Maybe you will see that strange green sky. Maybe you will walk through that dim, cool light. Maybe you will see the glowing plants. Maybe you will hear that musical language. Maybe you will meet the girl there. Maybe she will be young again. Maybe her skin will be green again. Maybe her brother will be with her. Maybe they will smile and greet you. Maybe they will thank you for finding them, for saving them, for witnessing their story, for remembering them. It is a pleasant thought, a comforting thought, a hopeful thought. You do not know if it is true. Probably it is not true. Probably death is just an ending, just silence, just nothing. But maybe not. Maybe there is more. Maybe the world is stranger and more wonderful than anyone imagines. Maybe the green children were proof of that. Maybe they were a message, a reminder, a gift, a sign. You fall asleep in your chair by the fire. You dream of green skin and twilight. You dream of tunnels and doorways and thin places in the world. You dream of children crying in a pit. You dream of walking through tall grass toward an impossible sound. You dream of a land where the sun never shines, where the sky is pale green, where plants glow softly in the darkness, where people speak in flowing musical voices, where everything is different, where everything is strange, where everything is beautiful and sad and lost. And when you wake, the fire has burned low, the room is dark, the world outside is quiet, it is late, it is very late. You stand slowly, your joints ache. You walk to the window and look out. The moon is high and full. It casts silver light over the sleeping village, over the fields, over the forest. Everything is still. Everything is peaceful. Everything is exactly as it should be. But somewhere out there beyond the edge of the world there is another world. You are sure of it. A world of twilight. A world where children have green skin and speak, in unknown languages and eat glowing plants. A world that touches this one only rarely, only briefly, only in thin places and strange moments. A world that most people never see. A world that most people never believe in. But you believe. You have always believed. Ever since that day in the Woolpit. Ever since you saw the impossible made real. Ever since you looked into the eyes of a green child and understood that reality is not fixed. Reality is fluid. Reality is full of doors. And sometimes those doors open. And sometimes someone steps through. And sometimes the world becomes a little bit stranger. A little bit more mysterious. A little bit more wonderful. You go to bed. You lie down in the darkness. You close your eyes. And you think about green children. You think about twilight. You think about tunnels and doorways and lost worlds. And you think that maybe someday someone else will find what the green children lost. Maybe someday someone else will discover the tunnel. Maybe someday someone else will walk through and emerge in that strange, beautiful land. And maybe they will find a way to come back. And maybe they will tell the story. And maybe the story will continue. Because stories never really end. They just change shape. They just move from person to person, from generation to generation, from century to century. They grow and shift and transform, but they never disappear. As long as someone remembers, as long as someone tells, as long as someone believes. The green children of Woolpit are gone. They have been gone for hundreds of years, but their story remains. It remains in the old chronicles written by monks. It remains in the histories written by scholars. It remains in the folklore collected by anthropologists. It remains in the books written by novelists. It remains in the minds of everyone who hears it. And it will remain. It will be told again and again, in different times, in different places, in different languages, in different mediums, but always the same essential truth. 2 children appeared. They were green. They spoke strangely. They came from somewhere else, and they could never go home. It is a sad story, but it is also a beautiful story, because it reminds us that the world is bigger than we know, that there are mysteries we will never solve, that there are wonders we will never fully understand, and that is good. That is right. That is how it should be. Because a world without mystery would be a dull world, a flat world, a world with no magic, no possibility, no hope, no wonder, no dreams. A world where everything is explained and understood and categorized and filed away. A world where there is no room for imagination, no room for possibility, no room for the strange and the impossible and the beautiful. The green children give us hope. Not hope that we can solve their mystery. Not hope that we can find the land of twilight, but hope that the world is full of unsolved mysteries. Hope that there are still things we do not know, still things we cannot explain, still things that make us stop and stare and wonder, still things that remind us how small we are, how limited our understanding, how vast and strange and beautiful existence really is. And so the story continues, down through the centuries, into the present day, into the future. People will still tell it. People will still wonder. People will still imagine that land of twilight, that green sky, those glowing plants, those strange houses made of something like stone but not quite stone. People will still picture two frightened children climbing out of a wolf pit into a world of blinding sunlight and alien sounds. And maybe some of those people will go looking. Maybe they will walk through forests. Maybe they will explore caves. Maybe they will search for tunnels and doorways and thin places. Maybe they will hope to find what the green children lost. Maybe they will hope to step through into another world, into a world of twilight, into a world of wonder. They will not find it. Of course they will not find it. The doorway is closed, if it ever existed at all. But that is not the point. The point is the searching. The point is the wondering. The point is keeping the possibility alive. The point is refusing to accept that the world is ordinary and mundane and completely understood. The point is believing in magic, in mystery, in the strange and the impossible and the beautiful. This is what legends do. They keep us curious. They keep us open. They keep us looking beyond the surface of things. They keep us aware that there might be more than we see, more than we know, more than we can imagine. And that awareness is precious. It is valuable. It is something worth preserving. So the story of the green children will continue. It will be told and retold. It will be analysed and debated. It will be believed and doubted. It will be forgotten and rediscovered. But it will never truly die, because it contains something essential, something that speaks to the human condition, the longing for home, the pain of exile, the mystery of existence, the hope that somewhere beyond the edge of the world there are other worlds waiting. And maybe that hope is enough. Maybe we do not need to find those other worlds. Maybe we just need to know that they might exist. Maybe we just need to hold the possibility in our hearts. Maybe that is what keeps us human, what keeps us dreaming, what keeps us reaching for something beyond ourselves. The green children reached. They reached across worlds. They reached across the impossible distance between their land and ours. And for a brief moment they succeeded. For a brief moment the two worlds touched, and then the moment passed. The door closed, and the children were trapped, lost, alone. But they reached. They tried, and that is worth something. That is worth everything. You think about this as you lie in the darkness. You think about reaching. You think about trying. You think about hoping. And you feel grateful. Grateful that you lived in a time and place where the impossible happened. Grateful that you witnessed something no one could explain. Grateful that you were part of a story that would be told for centuries. Grateful that you looked into the eyes of a green child and saw another world reflected there. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts drift. Sleep comes closer. It wraps around you like a warm blanket, like a gentle embrace. You feel yourself sinking down into softness, into comfort, into peace. And you dream. You dream of green skin and twilight. You dream of walking through a tunnel. The tunnel is long and dark and cool. You can hear water dripping somewhere in the distance. You can hear your footsteps echoing. The sound bounces off unseen walls. The darkness is complete. It is total, but you're not afraid. You know where you're going. You know what lies ahead, and so you walk. You walk forward through the darkness. You walk with confidence. You walk with purpose. And ahead there is light. Not the bright, painful light of the sun, but a soft green light, the light of twilight, the light of another world. The light grows stronger as you approach. It becomes brighter. It becomes clearer. It becomes beautiful. And you walk faster. You walk with anticipation. You walk with joy. You emerge from the tunnel. You step out into the open air. And you are there. You're in the land of twilight. The sky above you is pale green, like the underside of a leaf, like shallow water over sand, like jade, like emerald, like spring itself transformed into sky. The light is dim and cool and gentle. It is always twilight here. Always that perfect moment between day and night. Always that soft grey-green luminosity. Always that peaceful in-between time. You look around. There are plants growing here. Strange plants. They are unlike anything you have ever seen. They have broad leaves and thin stems. They glow faintly in the darkness. They pulse with their own inner light. Blue and green and silver. Like stars brought down to earth. Like captured moonlight. Like magic made physical. The light from the plants is enough to see by. Enough to navigate. Enough to live. There are structures in the distance. Houses or buildings or something like houses and buildings. They are made of something smooth and cold and translucent. Something that looks like stone but is not quite stone. Something that looks like glass but is not quite glass. Something that has no name in your language. The structures glow too. They emit a soft, warm light. They look inviting. They look like home. And there are people. They move through the twilight. They walk between the glowing plants. They tend gardens. They gather food. They speak to each other in flowing musical voices. The sounds drift across the landscape, rising and falling, weaving together, creating a kind of song, a kind of music, a kind of language that is also an art form, and their skin is green. Bright, beautiful green, the colour of new leaves, the colour of spring, the colour of life itself. They are tall and thin and graceful. They move with a kind of fluidity, a kind of elegance, as if they are dancing even when they are simply walking, as if movement itself is a form of expression, a form of communication, a form of joy. You walk toward them. Your feet make no sound on the soft ground. The ground is covered in something like moss, something like grass, something soft and yielding and alive. It glows faintly beneath your feet. It responds to your weight. It cushions your steps. It welcomes you. The people see you. They do not seem surprised. They smile. They wave. They welcome you. They speak, and somehow you understand them. The words flow into your mind. They bypass your ears entirely. They go straight to your understanding. This is how language works here. This is how communication happens. Not through sound alone, but through intention, through meaning, through connection. They ask who you are. You tell them. You are a traveller. You are a witness. You are someone who saw 2 children with green skin. 2 children who came from this place. 2 children who got lost in another world. 2 children who could never return. You ask if they remember. You ask if they know. You ask if anyone here lost children. A boy and a girl. A long time ago. So long ago. And they nod. Yes, they remember. There was a family who lost 2 children. The children went exploring. They found a tunnel. They went inside. They never came back. The family searched. The whole community searched. They looked everywhere. They called and called, but the children were gone, vanished, lost, taken by the tunnel, taken to another world. The family grieved. They mourned. They never stopped hoping. They never stopped looking. They never stopped believing that somehow someday the children would return. But they never did, and eventually the family grew old, and eventually they died, and eventually everyone who remembered the children directly also died. But the story remained. The story of the 2 children who walked into a tunnel and disappeared. The story of the great loss. The story of the mystery. You tell them what happened. You tell them the children emerged in your world, in a place called Woolpit, in a time called 1150. You tell them the children were frightened. You tell them they would not eat. You tell them they slowly adapted. You tell them the boy died. You tell them the girl lived. You tell them she married. You tell them she had children. You tell them she grew old. You tell them she told stories about this place, about the land of twilight, about her home, about what she lost. The people listen. They are sad. They are moved. They weep. The tears that run down their green faces glow softly, like liquid light, like melted stars. They thank you. They thank you for witnessing. They thank you for remembering. They thank you for carrying the story. They thank you for finding them, for telling them, for letting them know. They ask about the girl. They ask what her life was like. You tell them. You tell them she was sad, but she survived. You tell them she found a kind of happiness. You tell them she was kind to others. You tell them she never forgot this place. You tell them she never stopped longing for home. But you also tell them she made a life. She made a family. She made meaning. She made beauty. Even in exile. Even in loss. Even in a world that was not hers. The people nod. They understand. They say she was brave. They say she was strong. They say she honoured her family. They say she honoured this place. They say she's remembered here. They say she's honoured here. They say her story is part of their story now, part of their history, part of their understanding of the world, part of their wisdom. They invite you to stay. They invite you to walk through their land. They invite you to see the things the girl remembered, the things she told stories about, the things she longed for. And so you walk with them. You walk through the glowing gardens. You see the plants that the children ate. You see the houses they lived in. You see the places they played. You see the tunnel they found, the tunnel that led to your world, the tunnel that changed everything. The tunnel is still there. It is dark. It goes deep into the earth. The people say they sealed it long ago. After the children disappeared, they sealed it so no one else would be lost, so no one else would wander through and never return. But the seal is not perfect. The tunnel still exists. The connection still exists. The possibility still exists, even if it is buried, even if it is blocked, even if it is forgotten. You stand at the entrance. You look into the darkness. You think about those two children walking into this tunnel, walking away from safety, walking away from family, walking away from everything they knew, driven by curiosity, by wonder, by the desire to see what lay beyond. And you understand. You understand that desire, that need to explore, that need to know, that need to reach beyond the boundaries of the familiar, and you understand that sometimes reaching comes with a price. Sometimes curiosity leads to loss. Sometimes adventure leads to exile. Sometimes the door you walk through will not open again. Sometimes you cannot go home. And this is both terrible and beautiful. Terrible because of the loss, beautiful because of the courage, the willingness to step into the unknown, the willingness to risk everything for the possibility of wonder. You turn away from the tunnel. You walk back through the twilight land. You walk past the glowing plants and the translucent houses and the green people. You walk slowly. You take in every detail. You memorize everything. Because you know this is a dream. You know you will wake. You know you cannot stay. You are a visitor here, a witness, a messenger, but not a resident. This is not your world. This is not your home, but you are grateful to have seen it, grateful to have walked here, grateful to have met the people who remember the green children, grateful to have delivered your message, grateful to have closed the circle. The children left this world and went to yours, and now you have come from your world to theirs. The connection is complete. The story is told. The witnessing is done. You find yourself back at the tunnel entrance. You do not remember walking here, but here you are. The darkness beckons. You step inside. You walk into the cool, dark space. You walk away from the green light. You walk toward something else, toward waking, toward morning, toward your own world. The tunnel is shorter this time, or perhaps time works differently here, or perhaps dreams have their own logic, their own rules, their own sense of distance and duration. You walk, and then suddenly you see light ahead. Different light. Not green, not twilight, but the golden light of dawn, the light of your world, the light of waking. You emerge from the tunnel. You're standing in a field. The sun is rising, the sky is blue, the air is warm. You're back in Woolpit, or somewhere like Woolpit, or perhaps nowhere. Perhaps you're simply between sleep and waking, between dream and reality, between one world and another, and then you open your eyes. You are in your bed, in your room, in your house. The dream fades, the twilight land fades, the green people fade, but the feeling remains, the sense of having been somewhere, of having seen something, of having completed something, of having witnessed something important. You lie still for a moment. You try to hold on to the dream. You try to remember every detail, but it slips away, it dissolves, it becomes vague and uncertain. This is how dreams work. They are vivid while you are in them, but they fade in the light of day. They become fragments, impressions, feelings rather than clear memories. But you know you dreamed of the land of twilight. You know you walked there. You know you spoke to the people. You know you told them about the green children. And somehow that feels real. Somehow that feels true. Even if it was only a dream, even if it never happened, even if it was all just your imagination, it still matters. It still means something. Because dreams are where we process things, where we work through things, where we make meaning, where we connect to something larger than ourselves. Dreams are where the boundaries dissolve, where the impossible becomes possible, where we can visit other worlds, where we can speak to the dead, where we can heal old wounds, where we can find answers to questions we did not know we were asking. You get out of bed, you go about your day, you do your work, you live your life, but the dream stays with you. The image of the green sky, the feeling of walking on glowing moss, the sound of musical voices, the sight of green skin, the sense of having delivered a message, the sense of having honoured the green children, the sense of having completed their story, and that sense of completion brings peace, brings comfort, brings closure, because the story of the green children was always incomplete. They came from somewhere and went nowhere. They appeared and then they faded. They told their tale and then they were forgotten. Or not forgotten, but remembered imperfectly, remembered partially, remembered with gaps and questions and uncertainties. But now in your dream you have filled in the gaps. You have answered the questions. You have made the story whole. You have connected the beginning to the end. You have brought the news of the children back to their people. You have let them know what happened. You have let them grieve. You have let them honour. You have let them remember. This is what stories do. They complete us. They connect us. They help us make sense of the senseless. They help us find meaning in chaos. They help us create order from disorder. They help us build bridges between worlds, between times, between people, between the living and the dead, between the known and the unknown, between here and there. The story of the green children is a bridge. It connects medieval England to the land of twilight. It connects the mundane to the magical. It connects the ordinary to the extraordinary. It connects us to the possibility that the world is stranger than we think, more wonderful than we know, more full of mystery and magic and meaning than we usually allow ourselves to believe. And this connection is valuable. This connection is important. This connection is something we need. Because modern life can be so flat, so literal, so prosaic, so devoid of mystery, so devoid of wonder, so devoid of magic. We are told that everything can be explained, that everything can be understood, that there is no room for mystery, no room for imagination, no room for the impossible. But stories like The Green Children remind us that this is not true. They remind us that there are things we do not understand, things we cannot explain, things that defy our categories, things that break our rules, things that suggest the world is more complex and more beautiful and more strange than our theories allow. And we need these reminders. We need these stories. We need these mysteries because they keep us humble. They keep us curious. They keep us open. They keep us wondering. They keep us dreaming. They keep us human. The years pass. You grow older. Your children grow up. Your grandchildren are born. The world changes. The village of Woolpit changes. New houses are built. Old houses fall down. The church is repaired and expanded. The fields are rearranged. The forest shrinks as more land is cleared for farming. The wolf pits are filled in and forgotten. The place where you found the green children is now just another field. There is no marker, no memorial, nothing to indicate that something miraculous happened there. But you remember. You always remember. And you make sure others remember too. You tell the story. You tell it to anyone who will listen. You tell it to your children and grandchildren. You tell it to neighbours and friends. You tell it to travellers passing through. You tell it to the new priest who replaces the old one. You tell it again and again. You become known for it. You become the old man who tells the story of the green children. The old man who was there. The old man who saw. And people listen. Some believe you, some doubt you, some think you're exaggerating, some think you're senile, some think you're lying. But they all listen. Because it is a good story. Because it is a compelling story. Because it touches something in them. Something deep. Something that resonates, something that makes them wonder. And some of them tell the story too. They pass it on. They share it. They add their own details. They emphasize different parts. They interpret it differently. And the story grows. It spreads. It takes on a life of its own. It becomes bigger than you, bigger than the green children, bigger than Woolpit. It becomes a legend, a myth, a part of the collective imagination. You are pleased by this. You are proud of this. You have done your part. You have kept the story alive. You have honoured the green children. You have made sure they are not forgotten. You have made sure their strange and beautiful and sad story continues to be told, continues to inspire wonder, continues to remind people that the world is not what it seems. Your wife Margaret grows old beside you. She is patient with your obsession with the green children. She has heard the story 1,000 times, but she never complains. She never tells you to stop. She understands that this story is important to you, that it defines you, that it gives your life meaning, that it connects you to something larger than the daily grind of work and survival. She tells you once that she envies you, that she wishes she had witnessed something so miraculous, something so unexplainable, something that proved that magic is real. You tell her that she can share your miracle, that witnessing can be passed on, that the story itself is a kind of magic, that telling it and hearing it and believing it is its own kind of miracle. She smiles at this. She kisses your cheek. She says you are a poet. You laugh and say no, you're just an old blacksmith who saw something strange once. But maybe she's right. Maybe you are a poet. Because what is a poet but someone who sees the world differently? Someone who finds meaning in things others overlook. Someone who creates connections. Someone who tells stories. You think about the girl often. The green girl who grew up and married and had children and grew old. You wonder if she became a storyteller too. If she told her children about the land of twilight. If she passed on the memory of her lost world. If she made sure her brother was remembered. If she kept the story alive the way you have kept it alive. You think she must have. Because people still talk about her. Decades after her death, people still mention the woman who used to be green. The woman who came from the Twilight Land. The woman who lost her brother. The woman who never quite fit in. The woman who always seemed a little distant, a little strange, a little sad. They say she was kind. They say she helped people. They say she had a way with sick animals. They say she could predict the weather. They say she knew things. They say she had gifts. Probably these are exaggerations. Probably these are embellishments. Probably people attributed magic to her because she was strange, because she was different, because she came from somewhere else. But maybe not. Maybe she did have gifts. Maybe living between two worlds gave her insight. Maybe losing everything gave her compassion. Maybe being exiled gave her wisdom. Maybe her strangeness was also her strength. Maybe being green on the inside even when she looked normal on the outside gave her a perspective others lacked. You wish you had known her better. You wish you had talked to her more. You wish you had asked her more questions about the Twilight Land, about her family, about her brother, about her feelings, about her life, about what it was like to be the only one who remembered, the only one who knew, the only one who carried an entire world inside her heart. But you were young then. You did not understand. You did not realize how important she was, how rare, how precious. You thought there would be time. You thought you could ask her later. You thought she would always be there. But she was not. She grew old and died and took her memories with her. And now all you have are fragments, impressions, a few conversations, a few moments. Not enough. Never enough. This is one of the great sadnesses of life, that we do not appreciate things until they are gone, that we do not ask questions until it is too late, that we do not treasure people until we have lost them, that we let moments slip away, that we fail to witness fully, that we fail to honor, that we fail to remember. But you are trying to make up for it now. You are telling her story. You're keeping her memory alive. You're making sure she and her brother are not forgotten. You're making sure their miracle is recorded. You're making sure future generations will know about the green children of Woolpit, about the land of twilight, about the tunnel between worlds, about the great mystery. This is your life's work now. This is your purpose. This is what you were meant to do. Not just make horseshoes and nails, not just raise children and tend crops, but this storytelling, this witnessing, this remembering, this honoring, this keeping alive of wonder and mystery and magic. You're old now, very old. You can feel your body failing. Your heart beats irregularly. Your breath comes hard. Your vision is dimming. Your hearing is fading. You know you do not have much time left. Months perhaps, weeks, days. You do not know, but you are not afraid. You have lived a good life, a full life, a meaningful life, and you have one more task to complete. You call your oldest grandson to your bedside. He's a boy of 12, smart and curious. He has listened to your stories many times. He knows about the green children. He knows the tale by heart. You tell him it is his responsibility now, to remember, to tell, to keep the story alive, to pass it on. He nods solemnly. He promises. He takes your hand. His hand is young and strong. Yours is old and weak. But in this moment you are connected. You're passing something on, something important, something precious. The story, the memory, the witnessing, the wonder. You tell him one more time. You tell him about the day you heard crying at the edge of the forest, about looking down into the wolf pit, about seeing two children with impossible green skin, about their strange language, about their refusal to eat, about how they slowly became almost normal, about the boy's death, about the girl's survival, about her story of the Twilight Land, about the mystery that was never solved. Your grandson listens. He does not interrupt. He does not ask questions. He simply listens. He absorbs. He takes it in. He makes it his own. And you know the story will continue. It will live on. It will be told to his children, and their children, and their children. The green children will live forever, as long as someone remembers, as long as someone tells, as long as someone believes. You close your eyes. You are tired. So tired. But you are content. You have done what you needed to do. You have honoured the green children. You have kept the mystery alive. You have witnessed. You have remembered. You have told. And now you can rest. You slip into sleep. The kind of deep sleep that feels like falling, like sinking, like dissolving, and you dream. One last time you dream of the land of twilight. You dream of walking through the tunnel. You dream of emerging into that soft green light. You dream of meeting the green people. You dream of telling them the story. You dream of completing the circle. And in your dream you see her. The girl. She is young again. Her skin is green again. Her brother is with her. They are together. They are home. They are happy. They see you. They smile. They wave. They thank you. They honour you. They welcome you. And you feel at peace. You feel complete. You feel that everything has been as it should be, that your life had meaning, that your witnessing mattered, that your story made a difference, that you are part of something larger, something beautiful, something true. Your breathing slows, your heartbeat quiets, the dream fades, or perhaps it deepens. Perhaps you're moving from one kind of dream into another, from the dream of life into the dream of death, from this world into another world, from the known into the unknown, from here into there. And perhaps there really is a tunnel. Perhaps there really is a doorway. Perhaps death is just another crossing, another passage, another journey from one world to another. And perhaps on the other side there is a land of twilight, a place where the lost are found, a place where the separated are reunited, a place where stories are completed, a place where witnesses are honoured, a place where everything makes sense at last. Or perhaps not. Perhaps there is only silence, only darkness, only ending. But even that is all right. Even that has its own peace, its own completion, its own rightness, because you have lived, you have loved, you have witnessed, you have remembered, you have told, and that is enough. That is everything. Your grandson sits beside your bed. He holds your hand. He watches you breathe. He sees your face relax. He sees a small smile appear on your lips. He wonders what you're dreaming. He wonders where you're going. He wonders if you will meet the green children. He wonders if you will see the land of twilight. He wonders if all the stories are true, and he decides they are. He decides to believe. Because belief is a choice, because faith is a decision, because imagination is a power, because stories create reality, because telling makes it true, because remembering keeps it alive, because witnessing makes it matter. He will tell the story, he will pass it on, he will honour you, he will honour the green children, he will honour the mystery, he will keep the wonder alive. This is his promise, this is his duty, this is his gift, this is his privilege. The story will go on. It will be told in new ways, in new words, to new audiences, in new times, but the essential truth will remain. Two green children appeared in Woolpit in the year 1150. They spoke an unknown language. They came from a land of twilight. The boy died, the girl lived, and no one ever knew for certain where they came from or how they came to be in that wolf pit on that summer day. This is the mystery. This is the wonder, this is the gift, and the story will never end. It will continue forever, as long as there are people to tell it, as long as there are people to hear it, as long as there are people who wonder, who believe, who imagine, who hope. The story is eternal, the mystery is permanent, the wonder is forever. Because these things live not in the world, but in the human heart, in the human mind, in the human imagination. And as long as there are humans, there will be stories, there will be mysteries, there will be wonder, and the green children will continue to walk through our collective dreams. They will continue to emerge from wolf pits. They will continue to speak in unknown languages. They will continue to eat only beans. They will continue to tell stories about lands of twilight. They will continue to fade from green to normal. They will continue to live and die and be remembered. Because they are more than just two children who lived and died in medieval England. They are symbols. They are archetypes. They are carriers of meaning. They represent exile and longing and loss and adaptation and survival and the eternal human question of where do we come from and where do we belong and what does it mean to be home? These questions have no final answers. They are eternal questions. Every generation must ask them. Every person must wrestle with them. Every story must explore them. And the story of the green children explores them in a way that is unique and powerful and unforgettable. Because the green children were literally from another world. They were literally exiles. They literally could not go home. Their loss was total. Their displacement was complete. Their alienation was absolute. And yet they survived. The girl survived. She adapted. She made a life. She found meaning. She created beauty. Even in exile. Even in loss. Even in a world that was not hers. This is inspiring. This is hopeful. This is powerful. Because we are all exiles in our own ways. We are all displaced. We are all longing for something we cannot quite name, something we have lost or never had, some perfect place, some perfect time, some perfect state of being, some land of twilight where everything makes sense and we are understood and we belong. But that place does not exist, or it exists only in memory, or in imagination, or in story. We cannot go back, we cannot return, we can only go forward, we can only adapt. We can only make meaning here and now, in this world, in this time, in this body, in this life. The green children teach us this. They teach us that exile is survivable, that loss is bearable, that adaptation is possible, that life can be made even in strange places, that home can be created even when you cannot return to the place you came from, that meaning can be found even when nothing makes sense, that love can flourish even in alienation, that hope can persist even in exile. These are powerful lessons. These are important truths. These are the reasons the story endures, not because we want to solve the mystery, not because we want to find the land of twilight, not because we want to explain the green skin, but because we need the lessons, we need the hope, we need the reminder that we can survive, that we can adapt, that we can make meaning, that we can go on. The story gives us strength. It gives us courage. It gives us hope. It tells us that even when we are lost, we can be found. Even when we are alone, we can connect. Even when we are exiled, we can create home. Even when everything is strange, we can adapt. Even when we cannot go back, we can go forward. Even when we lose everything, we can survive. This is the deepest truth of the green children. This is the real miracle. Not the green skin, not the unknown language, not the mysterious land of twilight, but the survival, the adaptation, the resilience, the hope, the life that continues even after loss, the meaning that is made even in exile, the love that persists even in alienation. And this is why the story will never die, why it will always be told, why it will always matter. Because as long as there are humans, there will be exile, there will be loss, there will be displacement, there will be longing, there will be the need for stories that tell us we can survive, that we can go on, that we can make meaning, that we can find home. The green children are our story. They are everyone's story. They are the eternal human story, the story of being far from home, the story of being strange in a strange land, the story of losing what we love, the story of adapting to what we cannot change, the story of surviving what we thought would kill us, the story of going on when we thought we could not go on. This is why we tell it. This is why we remember it. This is why we honor it. This is why we pass it on. Because it is not just history, it is not just legend, it is not just mystery. It is truth, deep human truth, truth about what it means to be alive, truth about what it means to lose, truth about what it means to survive, truth about what it means to hope. The green children came, they stayed, they left, but they never really left. They are still here, in the story, in the memory, in the imagination, in the heart. They live on. They will always live on, as long as someone tells, as long as someone listens, as long as someone believes. And you have been a faithful teller, a faithful listener, a faithful believer. You have kept the story alive. You have passed it on. You have honoured the green children. You have witnessed their miracle. You have remembered their lives. You have told their truth. And now you rest. Your work is done. Your task is complete. Your story is told. And somewhere in the twilight land, two green children smile. They remember you. They honour you. They thank you for being there, for witnessing, for telling, for remembering, for keeping them alive. Sleep now. Dream now. Rest now. The story continues without you, but you are part of it, forever part of it. You are woven into it. Your witnessing is part of the tale. Your remembering is part of the legend. Your telling is part of the truth. The green children live. You live in them. They live in you. The story is complete. The circle is closed. The witnessing is honoured. The mystery remains. The wonder continues. The magic endures. Sleep, dream, rest. The land of twilight waits. The green children wait. The story waits. Forever. Eternal. Endless. Beautiful. True. And somewhere a child hears the story for the first time. Their eyes grow wide. Their imagination ignites. They see the green skin. They hear the strange language. They picture the land of twilight. They feel the mystery. They sense the wonder. They believe. And the story lives again. Fresh and new and ancient and eternal. The same story told in a new voice. The same truth spoken in a new time. The same mystery pondered by a new mind. The same wonder felt by a new heart. This is how stories live forever. Not by being preserved like artifacts in museums, but by being told and retold. By being heard and repeated. By being believed and passed on. By being alive in human hearts and minds and mouths. By being part of the living tradition, part of the ongoing conversation, part of the eternal human search for meaning and wonder and truth. The green children are part of that search. They are guides, they are teachers, they are companions. They walk with us through our own exiles. They sit with us in our own losses. They comfort us in our own alienation. They remind us that we are not alone, that others have walked this path, that survival is possible, that meaning can be made, that hope can be kept. And so the story continues, day after day, year after year, century after century. The green children appear in the Woolpit. They are found, they are helped, they adapt. One dies, one lives. The story is told, the mystery remains, the wonder endures, forever and ever and ever. The green children of Woolpit, a mystery, a wonder, a gift, a truth, forever told, forever remembered, forever alive, in story, in memory, in imagination, in hope, in the twilight land that exists wherever stories are told, wherever mysteries are honoured, wherever wonder is kept alive. There they walk, the green children, forever young, forever green, forever home, forever free, forever remembered, forever loved, forever true. Sleep now, dream now, rest now. The story is told, the witnessing is complete, the children are honoured, the mystery is preserved, the wonder endures, all is well, all is peaceful, all is complete. Sleep, dream, rest. The green children watch over you. The twilight land waits. The story continues forever.